Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts, and this is a special episode. And since that nobody chose a dinosaur, I'll actually choose a prehistoric animal anyway. The prehistoric animal I will be talking about is a prehistoric mammal during the Cenozoic, and it's Hyaenodon, one of my favorite prehistoric mammals that I actually like to look at, especially because since I've seen a skeleton at the Science Museum in Minnesota. Excuse me for a minute, because since this TV is actually a little distracting. Anyway, Hyaenodon is actually basically Latin for hyena tooth, of course, and it's actually found in basically in North America, Eurasia, and Africa. Lived in the late Eocene, early Miocene. Basically about pretty much some actually go a foot long, and some of them go to 5 feet long, and some of them actually go 5 to 100 pounds. So there's many species of Hyaenodon, and so you actually find them almost anywhere in the almost anywhere in the world. Now, Hyaenodon's distinguishing features are basically it's got short, stout legs, it has a big head, and basically the teeth are very different in compared to other kinds of mammals, basically predatory mammals. Since that Hyaenodon in the back, right here, like where you would think you would find the molars, they're actually very bladed. They're bladed teeth. And the interesting thing about the anatomy of the tooth structure of Hyaenodon is this. The upper teeth and lower teeth actually were basically the upper teeth in the back rotate inward, whereas the lower teeth in the back of the jaw right here in the mandible actually kind of rotate almost outward, and then almost outward, and basically that gives it a very good sharpening tool. And there are some specimens of Hyaenodon that actually have shown that at a very ripe old age they still have a cutting edge in the back of their teeth. So that is just amazing. Now, Hyaenodon is not related to hyenas due to the fact of its name. It's just because when it was discovered, it was actually discovered just because the scientists were actually looking at its teeth, and they were comparing it to other modern animals, and they thought like, hyena, because the back of the teeth almost look like hyena teeth, and also the premolar teeth almost look like hyena teeth, but they're not really related to hyenas at all. Hyaenodon is kind of actually more of a primitive carnivorous mammal in the Cenozoic. It's a very primitive animal. But you see, the largest Hyaenodon species is Hyaenodon hortus, and Hyaenodon hortus actually has a big skull, very big skull, big teeth, big skull, and also Hyaenodon actually has a very strong jaw power, and basically the power of the bite is basically in the back of the mouth, right where the bladed teeth are. So they can crush bone pretty easily. And so Hyaenodon, in terms of North America, during the late Eocene through the Oligocene, would probably be the top predator during that time. But then when we get to the Miocene, when it actually starts to become extinct, is that it actually, there was a new animal coming in, and that was the bear dog, Amphision. And so Amphision kind of migrated into North America and actually just took down Hyaenodon in terms of being top predator. But even though in the ecosystem of Hyaenodon you got primitive horses, you got primitive camels, you got oreodonts, these animals that are related to sheep and goats, and you got primitive rhinos without horns. They're very small rhinos. And you also got some pretty interesting predators, very interesting competition for Hyaenodon. One is a saber-toothed cat called Dinictus, and it's basically kind of a smaller saber-toothed cat, and it actually has very small saber-like teeth, which suggests that actually it kind of went after the neck to actually kill the prey. And also you have the ugliest of the ugly during that time, basically is Archaeotherium, or the Hell Pig. And so Archaeotherium and Hyaenodon had a very close relationship, and if you kind of think about it, because since Archaeotherium is kind of considered more of a scavenger than a predator, but even though I do think it does hunt, but basically when we actually look at the Hell Pig, Archaeotherium, compared to Hyaenodon, Hyaenodon actually is probably more of an active predator, whereas Archaeotherium probably didn't actually have to kill prey very often, where it's actually needed Hyaenodon to actually kill the prey for it. And so, but even though Archaeotherium could actually be an omnivore, we still don't know about that, but even though there's a lot more evidence to support that it's actually a very active carnivore. But when we actually look at Hyaenodon, it is actually, in terms of catching its prey, it can catch almost anything, basically. But we don't know what kind of prey it actually has eaten, basically. But even though we do find fossilized feces of basically, which are called coprolites, which is fossilized poop, and we find horse teeth in some of these coprolites. And basically that shows the Hyaenodon probably actually ate horse, ancient, basically primitive horse. And so, and Hyaenodon basically is one of those animals that could actually kill its prey by actually crushing the skull. And so that's pretty much what it can actually do. But usually a lot of predators don't want to go after the skulls, because the skulls, there's not much meat in the skull, and usually they just leave them alone. It's because there's not that much meat, because all you're hitting is skin and bone. And if you just hit bone right away, you're gonna break your teeth. And so Hyaenodon probably actually made things work in both ways. It could actually crush the skulls if it needed to, and also it could actually just go after the meaty parts, like the basically the thighs, and also the parts that are actually in between the hind legs and the forelimbs. So basically they actually could eat almost anything. And since that but there's been experiments done by because since that Hyaenodon's kind of like almost the same size as a pit bull. But since that National Geographic Prehistoric Predators show, when they did the episode of Hyaenodon, the scientists actually did an experiment on a pit bull, and I found a flaw with that theory. It's basic of how fast Hyaenodon could actually be. First off, basically they did the test where it was actually on a hill, and so basically the dog was going downhill to actually increase its speed. So that just shows no credibility whatsoever. And then also, how do you know how fast the pit bull really does go if it's on a even flat surface? And so that's my question, is basically how fast can it go? But from what the experiment actually did, it said that the pit bull can run 36 miles per hour, which is faster than a horse. But even though we still don't know what the top speed of all animals are, it's just because we don't even know if they do actually go in this, if they are going at a top speed. So excuse me. So Hyaenodon could probably catch prey in terms of basically whatever the prey is, but even though I would say it's more of an ambush predator, so it actually just hide in like a low shrubby area, and then basically once the prey got close enough, then basically it'll just start attacking. But basically, once the Miocene start coming around, basically the planets start to get cooler, and then also you actually start developing, and also basically you actually get a new plant that is actually kind of starting to already arrive during that time, is grass. And grass is when we actually start to actually kind of started to really dominate in the late Oligocene and in early Miocene. So that kind of actually shows that grasslands were becoming more common. Forests were starting to disappear, and when we see this, animals start to actually get bigger and also faster. Basically, the prey species have gotten bigger and faster. The horses and the camels got faster, and so they got bigger. And also, Hyaenodon was kind of considered Hyaenodon didn't really have that much in terms of vegetation to actually hide itself, especially if there's only grass. And also, you get a new predator coming in, and that's Amphision, the bear dog. And these things took over quickly, and so bear dogs were probably one of the reasons why Hyaenodon went extinct. It basically, bear dogs were more stronger, probably a little bit faster, and so they were probably also smarter than Hyaenodon. Hyaenodon has kind of a primitive brain in terms of mammals, and it relied more on instinct rather than its intellect. So it actually just basically could not compete against the bear dogs, where the bear dogs had relied more on their intelligence to actually fend off, to actually get Hyaenodon out of the ecosystem. But also prey species were so advanced during that time, so you actually just had multitudes of animals that just got bigger and stronger, and also faster. And that's basically how it is. But mainly climate change is probably also another reason that Hyaenodon actually got extinct. But that's probably the number one perpetrator, you can actually say, that actually made Hyaenodon go extinct, is basically that its prey, some of its prey disappeared, like some of the primitive rhinos, and also the Oreodonts. But the camels and the horses got bigger and faster, and that's basically how it is. It's basically that things change, and Hyaenodon just couldn't adapt to change. Alright, that's it for now. Now next week will be an answering questions episode, so if you got a question about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com. Also, you can actually post the questions in the comment section on any Facebook post on the Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts with Dino Chris. All those are open, so all those are open 24/7. The email and the Facebook page, all open 24/7. I am willing to get questions anytime. And also, if anybody in the River Falls area that is actually in the campus that is a fan of the show, can come by at my door and actually write down the questions at the whiteboard, and basically in Stratton Hall, room 334, and you can actually find the whiteboard and actually write the questions on there. But also, you can follow me on Twitter at CSGRALL, @CSGRALL, and that's my Twitter page, and I post pretty cool stuff on Twitter. But hey, what can you do? And also take care of the people around you, and also for you younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. Those are the best motivation you can have for a good education. It's very important to have a good education, because with a good education, you get a good job in the future. Alright, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.